Hello everyone. It's been a few days since New Comic Book Day, and so I'm going to show you the books we picked up this week, and then we have a couple of things. I have some news I want to talk about as it relates personally to me and my books, and then a video that a viewer sent me on a topic that I thought was, kind of near and dear to my heart, and something that we have discussed on this channel several times. So I thought I'd throw some questions out there and kind of get your opinions on that. So let's jump right into the books first. Not a real big week for books. From DC, Night Terrors storyline started. This right here, Batman #1. We've talked about this cover a million times. I love this cover, the Bruce Wayne kneeling by his dead parents. When I first saw that cover years ago at the comic shop, I was immediately drawn to it. And then they've done several homage covers over the years on that. DC has done a lot of covers as it relates to some other superheroes. They've rehashed the Batman storyline with that. I always buy them because it's just something about that cover that I like. This is another one of the Night Terrors here. If you can actually see that, kind of a big bat right there. Kind of cool. And then the Poison Ivy. I'm not a big Poison Ivy fan, but I did love this cover. Kind of a 50s throwback, and you can kind of see the head on the table. I thought that was real funny. And then check the online, check your local shops, because they have some really nice covers coming out for the horror genre, whatever you want to say. People make fun of the way I say it. I'm sorry. Scary movies, how's that? So there was that. That was it for the mainstream Marvel DC. Jungle Comics 17. Spawn 343. Kind of a cool Virgin cover right there. A book we talk a lot about on this channel, Grimm #11, cover A. Cover B, or just the second cover. Animals #1 from Invader Comics. I'm not wild about the artwork inside. A lot of people like this style of art. I don't like this style of art, but I do like the possible concept of this book. But that's kind of the artwork. Not real big on that. To me, it just comes across as like a lazy artwork. I like a little bit, I'm old school Neil Adams, Bernie Wrightson, Steranko, Ditko, Kirby. They put a lot of work in their things. When I see stuff like that, it's kind of lazy to me. From Zenescope, Cinderella, Queen of Hearts #3. Cool cover right there. Like we said, no one draws ladies and females like Zenescope. Stories might not be that good, but their covers are usually spot on. From the Gun Honey storyline, new storyline called Heat Seeker. This is #1. Kind of a cool one there. They must have had a pillow fight or something with the feathers, covering up the important areas. The polybagged version, that was the nude variant. And then a gorgeous Art Germ cover, which I absolutely loved right there. That's a great looking cover for that. So we got that. And then finally, from Gene Simmons, A Kiss, Opus Comics, this is Dominatrix #1, cover A. And the cover that I kind of thought was like a Grindhouse cover. If you hear the noise in the background, my wife is doing some sewing. So there was kind of like the Grindhouse cover for that. And that's all we picked up. That's pretty much it for the new comic books. I had a viewer who sent me a link to a video on Comic Tom's channel. Now, I'm not a huge Comic Tom fan. There's been a lot of things that, has gone on in the last year and a half that kind of sours me on his videos. They kind of push, certain books, and people jump on that. He also pushes that website he has, or the digital app for hot comic books. He gets a piece of that. But he has a huge following. He does all the major shows. He has good interviews. And this past few days, I don't know when the video was actually done, but they were talking about, sellers who sell raw books, like a 9.4. They use that as a guide. A 9.4 raw, the same price as a 9.4 graded. And there were pros and cons that they had brought up. And these were some of the things that I kind of, understood. We have talked several times about CGC being a third-party grader, and their grading standards are not the best in the world. They overgrade books a lot. They're not really accurate with their grades. They just kind of throw stuff out there, but they are the gold standard to everybody, all the collectors, because they were technically the first grading company to go out there. but their grading standards are really bad. My question to you is, if you have somebody who you trust on their grades. Now, I am a very difficult grader. I have shown several times on this channel the accuracy of my grades. Those of you who have bought books from me always tell me, you know, this book is a lot higher than what you're grading it. And my answer to that is always, well, if you think it's a higher grade, then when you buy it, you're already making a profit on it. I grade my books fairly. I price my books fairly. And I consider the grades that I give it very accurate and honest. But I've had a lot of people say, look, I'm buying books that you said were, 8.85 and they're coming back, 9.4, 9.6. That's good for you. All the stuff I sell is, unpressed. Like the 2 books we just showed recently on the challenge video where they both came back 9.8. The Swamp, that was a Toxic Avenger from 1991. I made a mistake. I said 81. It was 91. I don't know why I had 81 in my head. But the Toxic Avenger 9.8, and then the I can't think of his name right now, but the other book I got the 9.8 on. You saw the video. So I was very happy with those. But that just kind of goes to my point. If I grade a book, we'll use this here. This is War Comics from 1965. I just put down high grade, issue number 14. Very hard book to find in high grade because of the cheap paper quality. Damage is real easy. And this, when I say high grade, it's probably 9.4, 9.6, 9.8. These are all unpressed. Now, if this book grades out, you can kind of see just a beautiful, beautiful book right there. Really nice book. If this book prices at a 9.2 for $20, do I have the right to sell that book for $25, $30 because I think it's a 9.4, 9.6? What do you think about that? Again, it depends on what people are willing to spend. A book is only worth what it's willing to spend. People always say, well, you got to go by the guide. Well, here's the guide. The guide only goes up to 9.2. It doesn't go 9.4, doesn't go 9.6, doesn't go 9.8, simply because it's subjective. What's a 9.4? What's a 9.6? What's a 9.8? And it says right there in the title, guide. This is a guide. It gives you an idea of what a book is worth, but a book is only worth what someone is willing to pay for it. And if you have somebody that you buy from, I have a lot of really good customers, a lot of loyal customers who have no problem seeing a book that they like. I like this book. I need this book. I'll pay the $30 for the book because you say it's a high grade. And I appreciate that. And that makes me feel good because in all the years I've done this, once or twice a person has come back and possibly, questioned a grade that we have discussed. And, I'm not a 100% accurate grader, but I will take my grading history and my record of grading books over anybody else because I guarantee you I'm going to be a lot more accurate with those grades. I'm fast, I'm accurate. That's just what it is. So, and when, people sit there and say, well, the guide is the guide is the guide. But if you look up EC books in the guide, they have, EC horror books that are graded 4.0. And in the book, it might say $80. You're not going to get a 4.0 EC horror book for $80. You're going to pay, 3, 4, 5 times the cost in the guide because they're that hard to find. You have to take all that into consideration. Is a book hot? Is it hot? Is it, how hard is it to get in high grade? This, cheap paper quality right there from that company right there, that's cheap paper quality. And you get a high grade book like that, there's a premium that goes on that. Go around the stores, go around the shops, or go around to the, shows and look at what some of these people are charging, some of these dealers are charging for key books. I mean, a perfect example, Mile High. Someone did a tour on Mile High, and he's showing books up there that you can buy at a show for, $30,000, and he's got $125,000 on it. The whole idea is I don't want to sell the book, and so if someone's going to want the book, they're going to pay the book. That's gouging. That's one aspect of it. But if the book is rare and is in a high grade, again, how much do you trust your grader? Do you trust your grader? Do you trust the person grading the books? Do you believe that it's going to be the grade that you see? If I give you this book and say, hey, this book is going to be a 9.6, and a 9.6 graded sells for $200, Are you going to pay $80 or $100 for that same book, knowing that if it comes back in 9.6, you're going to make an immediate, profit on that? Again, it was a good concept. It was good questions, but what do you think of that? Does the dealer has a right to sell his books for any price. But if it's a bad grader, and we've seen a lot of bad graders out here, that's not fair. If you're sitting here and I look at a book and they say, this is very fine, and you see, 20 spine ticks and a bent corner, which we've talked about this on the video a lot, really bad graders on eBay that people trust and they buy books. You can go on eBay right now, look for Silver Age books, look for books that are, Dr. Doom 8.0, and you look at it and you can see the spine ticks, you can see the bends on it, the pop, the rip by the staple line, which is probably a 5, and people are paying 8.0 money for it, and then they get the book and they're disappointed. That's not fair. But do you trust your seller enough? Everybody has somebody that they like, their go-to seller, and they're going to trust people. I'm very fortunate in the fact that a lot of people that I deal with, they never question my books. They look at the book, they look at the back of the book where all the information is, and they just buy it because they know I need it and it's going to be a high grade and I'm not going to find a better copy of it, more than likely, definitely raw, for that price. So there was that. I just kind of rambled on with that. I don't know how good this video is going to be. I also had a question from a viewer talking about the graded books I have right here. And his question was, you always talk about not grading books, and yet you have graded books on your wall. Well, yes and no. I don't agree with grading modern books, the new books that come out, and then trying to flip them for a fast profit. We have talked about vintage books, golden age books, high key books, to try to keep them in that condition. That's okay. We've said that 1,000 times on this channel. And so the books I have up here, so you get an idea, that's Blitzkrieg #1, of course. As you know, I've talked about this story several times. This is the book that got me into collecting. That's a 9.4 gift from a friend. Sits up there because I want him to know that I appreciated that gift. The next one, first appearance of the Swamp Thing, signed by Bernie Wrightson, gift from a friend. Again, graded very low, a very low grade, 3.0, 2.5, but it doesn't matter. Bernie Wrightson is my favorite artist. He's a great man. That's an autographed version on a gold label. It doesn't matter what the condition is. That means a lot to me. Of course, the famous McFarlane Hulk cover here, graded 9.6. Pulled it out of a box that I've had for years and came back in 9.6, unpressed, unclean, just the way it is. And then, of course, this book right here, Dead of Night, #1, because we love that book on this channel, graded a 9.6. Not a whole lot of 9.6s on that book out there, so I kind of put those books up there, just kind of a backdrop right there. I had, we went back and forth, a very good conversation with that viewer. Thank you so much for asking that question. And he understood what I was saying, but those are the books that are up there, and that's why they're up there. Again, it's not bad to get books graded. But I don't grade new books. I'm not going to grab what books I just showed today, ooh, let me send that in and get graded. There's no reason to do that. So there was that. And then finally, everybody always asks me, why I don't sell online, why, I don't have a shop. Well, right now is not the best time to have a shop. The cost for shops is through the roof. The cost for shipping, everything's expensive now. It's not the right time. If I ever open up a shop, it's going to be the right time. It's going to be the right place, the right price point. I'm not going to do it half-assed. I'm going to do it right the first time. So the next best thing is I have a friend, Neil, who owns a shop here in town called Fandomverse, which is kind of Cheyenne and Tenaya in the Target shopping center. And he moved into a bigger space, double the size of his last shop in the same shopping complex, a couple of doors down. And we talked back and forth and said, look, I would like to get a case in your shop and put books in there so people can come in and buy books from me and bring customers into your shop as well. And he was all for that, negotiated a deal that we were both happy with. And I now have books at Fandomverse Comics in one case. Look for my Joker, and you'll see it in the case. It's just going to be stuff like this. Nothing expensive, nothing big, but they're going to be nice vintage books at a good price. Just stuff like this, just stuff that you can't see. There's also going to be some variants. I have a couple of graded books in there right now. I have Something's Killing the Children, #1, 3rd print, 9.8. And then, what was the other book I had? I can't think of the other graded books I have in there because my mind is just swimming right now. But I'm going to rotate these books out. There's going to be, variants, maybe, certain covers that people like. I'm going to rotate it in and out, but there's going to be a lot of vintage, a lot of, 68 to 76, bronze, maybe some early silver. There's a few early silver in there right now. I do have some pre-code stuff in there. Nothing fantastic, but pre-code is pre-code, and they are all reasonably priced. I got a Donald Duck. I got some other pre-code stuff in there that relatively cheap that people can get at a good price and say, hey, I have a pre-code book in my collection, which a lot of people don't have. So it gives them an opportunity to have something from every genre at a nice price point, $15, $30, which is a really good price for a pre-code book like that. And again, you'll see all my stuff, and of course the grades are going to be very accurate on that grading, so I'm happy about that. So there was that. Again, that's Fandom vs. Comics, Cheyenne and Tenaya, Target Shopping Center, space 112. The sign should be coming up in the next couple of days, but if you know that shop, just go a couple shops down. It's by the pool supply store there. Super nice setup. Again, it's double the size. If you've seen the other shop he had, really, really good. Of course, Cosmic Comics as well is, a shop that I go to a lot because everybody at Cosmic is really nice. Brian, the owner, is a super nice guy, and everybody who works there is super nice. But, Fandomverse is right down the street from my house, and so I'm able to keep an eye on the books and do everything and do that. So hopefully, all of you who've been asking, now you have the opportunity. I won't sell online because anything can happen to a book from point A to point B. This is just easier for me to keep track of my books and to make sure that you are getting the quality of book that you think you're buying. When I tell you it's a certain grade, it's going to be that certain grade. You can see that. So there was that. Again, kind of a video that was all over the place. I will do more videos this week coming up, and I do have the items ready for the my favorite scary movie video that I have, because we had talked about that, and I am going to get that video done. But again, I wanted to get books in the shop. It just recently reopened, and I'm very excited about that. So look for the monster movie video coming up in the next couple of days. I'm going to do that, and we'll just kind of go from there. Yes, this is my Susie and the Banshee shirt. I'm a big 80s alternative, Susie and the Banshee, Smith Cure, early punk, that type of stuff. So there was that, because people always make comments on my shirts. This is my Susie and the Banshee shirt right there. So this all for the video right now. Kind of rambled on. I apologize for that. I'm just super, super tired. I'm not getting a lot of sleep lately, but that's my issue. So with that said, I hope you liked the video. But as always, if you didn't, nothing I can do for you. Have a great, great day. And I hope you answer and kind of put your 2 cents worth in what we discussed, and stop by and I'll see you at the shop and pick up some of my books. Talk to you then.